I'm Audrey Wisch. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Curious Cardinals. And thank you. It's so fun to see three wonderful Curious Cardinals moms and our mentor here today. And this is an opportunity to get to learn about Curious Cardinals. So we're not going to watch the Today Show clip. You can watch the Today Show clip on your own. I'll share briefly how we got started. I was a history major at Stanford who thought I was pre-law with my 10-year life plan set and aspirations to be the next Ruth Bader Ginsburg. The pandemic hit, Stanford sent us home, and longing for connection and purpose, I started tutoring kids online. And working with these students, observed they weren't just struggling in school, they were disengaged, uninspired, absorbing and regurgitating what they read in a textbook, but had no idea why any of it mattered. So I started applying what they were learning in school to their passions. One of them asked for math help. I was not as passionate about math, so I called Alec, an aerospace engineer at Stanford who loves math. And instead of drilling math equations, Alec showed them how math makes airplanes fly. And suddenly we realized the student wasn't just learning the math, he felt connected to it. And so what started as a handful of students became a movement. Parents told their friends, our college peers longing for connection and purpose became mentors, and Alec, the aerospace engineer, became my co-founder, and Curious Cardinals was born. Now it is almost 5 years later, and what started as in that first year as a pandemic passion project has grown into a global community. We have 11 full-time team members in the Bay Area. We have 700 mentors on the platform, and we have amazing
Well, you want
all over,
the fireplace
like
on.
Lori, Cassie, and Sayeh, and amazing mentors like Stephen, who are here today. So I'll give a brief intro, and again, this is super intimate, so then I'll hand it off to our parents to share a bit about their experience in Stephen, and then I hope everyone who's new to Curious Cardinals is asked their questions, gets what they want out of this in this intimate setting we have today. So at Curious Cardinals, our two main offerings are academic mentorship and passion projects. We connect students to the best mentor match. That is one of the core differentiators of Curious Cardinals is we make learning come alive through connection. We believe you are who you can see, and it matters to learn from someone, whether it's me who lacked confidence in math. I was one of the few girls in my honors math class and lacked a lot of confidence in STEM. I probably prematurely deemed myself a humanities gal. I wish instead of the wonderful male math tutor I had a female engineering Stanford student who also loved Taylor Swift to be my math mentor because it wasn't about competence. I was totally capable. It came down to confidence. I didn't believe in myself. And so that's where we see the power of a match, whether it's in an academic subject you're struggling in or in a passion project that helps you imagine what you want to pursue in college or in life. Working with someone you see yourself in makes all the difference. Next is structured and measured, which we'll get to later. Consistency that compounds. Curious Cardinals sessions happen weekly, and that's where we see real magic happen, where you're not just meeting, this is a Band-Aid solution before Friday's test, you're meeting week over week, so you can actually be ahead of the game and build skills that are not just going to help you nail Friday's test, but be successful in life. And then finally, at the end of the day, the magic of Curious Cardinals is that when your kid signs up, they will continue to want to do Curious Cardinals. They will love it. We want to inspire a genuine love of learning and make this a part of your kids' week that they actually look forward to. And so our core offerings, as I said, are that academic mentorship. Tutoring is the T word at Curious Cardinals. It has a connotation of being transactional, a remedy for Friday's test. So we say academic mentorship, but this is a replacement to what you might otherwise go to a conventional tutor for. And you can embed executive function in that. You can ask for the personalized mentor match of your dreams. And then passion project. And in passion project, we have students building portfolios, conducting research, launching an organization or content creation. And of course, executive function can be a combined add-on to these as well. So tactically, we really believe in taking a holistic approach to learning, which means none of these happen in silos. We have some students who have an academic mentor and a passion project mentor. We have some students who start with one, then shift to the other. And it's all about what students' goals are at the time. For the passion project, as I said, these are the 4 tracks. This is an example of a student who loved sports and he learned sports analytics, building a data engine to predict winners of games based on past data. This is a student who loved design and sustainable engineering. So they learned how to use CAD, computer-aided design, to build renewable energy car models and then have a website portfolio with their different models. This is a student who also liked design and learned product design, UI UX design, and designed different specs for different use cases, and has a whole portfolio website and has some clients now. This is a student who just got in early to Stanford. She started working with us when she was a seventh grader. She was one of our first students, and she's done lots of passion projects, but she was very passionate about the intersection of engineering and sustainability. And she made this research paper on renewable energy alternatives, and it got published in a high school scientific journal. And these are two other students who've started organizations. On the left, we have Josh. Josh started with us as a ninth grader. He goes to Horseman in New York City. He just got in early to Penn. Go, Josh. And he was born with clubfoot. So he was passionate about doing research on clubfoot. He felt very privileged to be able to afford the treatment and wanted to raise awareness about it, raise money for different organizations, conducted medical research. And then he worked with a mentor to help him get an internship at a nonprofit and go to Rwanda, where the actual facilities are of the main nonprofit, and have this whole comprehensive experience for the 3 years of his high school journey with this passion project as a core extracurricular. And this is Maud the blog. Elise started with us as an eighth grader. She's now a freshman at Cornell, mentoring 3 younger girls at Curious Cardinals herself. And she was passionate about fashion and feminism. So she launched this blog, learning how to conduct interviews, how to find people to interview, telling the stories of women in the fashion industry. She also learned design and how to make a website and social media page that looked so professional, and then figure out marketing and distribution. Her friends weren't reading blog posts, so how should she leverage social media to raise awareness amongst her peers? So these are just a few examples of awesome passion projects. And of course, a mentor also serves a key role in habit building and accountability. And an executive function, that's the project management of it all. Most students are only familiar with an essay being assigned to them, due next week, having a due date assigned by their teacher, learning how to set your own deadlines, learning how to project manage. That's something a mentor really supports with. And then finally, some students come to us not knowing what their passion is, and that's the pathfinding path, where we guide them through the journey. And before I hand it off and talk more about our mentors and our model, I want to have one Curious Cardinals mom speak, and then we'll have the other two. Lori, do you want to start? How did you first find out about Curious Cardinals? What have your kids done with us? What has your experience been like?
Well, I was fortunate enough to meet Audrey in Abu Dhabi at a Forbes conference. It was 30 under 30s and 50 over 50s. And I guess you know which one was which. And anyway, I was very inspired by what she was doing. And, my kids never needed a tutor. So, I filed it away and we met, just because I was so interested in her company. I also have a daughter who's a junior, also at Riverdale. And she just loves her mentors. There's a woman, Mayumi from Cornell, who's like this brilliant scientist, and this other woman who's at Yale who's a great writer. And, they just, she looks forward to seeing them. She looks forward to telling them about her week. She looks forward to discussing her paper on the Panama Canal. Like, she looks forward to those meetings. I have never had an instance where she's been like, oh, I really don't want to, talk to the, because they have a relationship. I mean, it's somebody who really is invested and cares about her and is trying to not just get the paper done, but actually instill really good habits that she can leverage in the long term. Gabby happens to really like economic development. She's been to Panama a few times. So she's also inspired by the stories of these young women who also have very significant interests. And yeah, I feel so grateful and so appreciative, of just the whole thought process, the different approach to helping kids actually develop skills, not just, meet a deadline. So it's been so transformative to us, and super grateful to Audrey and her team.
Thank you, Lori. That's why we work so hard and why we do what we do. Nothing makes us happier to hear. Thank you for sharing, and thanks from being my friend and colleague to becoming a Curious Cardinals mom and champion. I'm so grateful to know you. Before I hand off to the other moms in the house and our mentor here, I'm going to share a little bit. So what makes the Curious Cardinals mentors different? Yes, They're personalized matches, so really working with someone your kid looks up to and sees themselves in, just as Lori was saying, but also the quality of the mentors. We are super specific with who we bring on and very selective to make sure these are the best of the best young people. And then finally, training them on our method. Now we've been around for a while. We know what works and how to have a model that engages kids, leverages unique connection between a mentor and mentee, and connection between the material and a format to ensure that. So all engagements follow the CC method. We set SMART goals, specific, measurable, achievable, results-oriented, time-bound. Mentors are meant to ask with Socratic method. Every session, whether it's academic for math or it's a passion project working on your clubfoot blog and medical research, start and end in the same way. They start with a check-in. We encourage doing Rosebud Thorn because it's super cool not just to hear the kids' Rosebud Thorn, but to know what's a Harvard kid's Rosebud Thorn and humanize what's going on in their life. Then you set a clear goal for the session, go on in learning, and then actually reflect at the end, what did we learn today? Did we accomplish the goal we set out to? What are action items from here to stay on track? When are we meeting next? And the mentors are amazing. They're presidents of clubs, winners of awards. We have one here today, Stephen, who we'll introduce shortly. And in the last 12 months, we've had 1,956 people apply to be mentors, 67% of which applied from these top schools. We aim to make this the best part-time job for college students, and that's where we're so lucky that mentors like Stephen hear about Curious Cardinals from their trusted friends. So reliable college students, you might be wondering, is that an oxymoron? How do we vet for that? One is our competitive application process. Two is thorough onboarding and training. When you are accepted on, you participate in onboarding. And then every quarter we have new re-onboarding, which I have been leading. But other team members, we have amazing educators like Matt, who just joined our team, who have far superior education expertise to bring to the table. And then we give mentors resources and tools and curriculum. And so we aim to give them all the tools they need to do what they do best, which is inspire and connect. And then on a monthly basis, mentors get personalized feedback from our platform. And that's one of the ways we use AI. So 2 examples of a mentor, Natasha, Andy, but I'm going to hand it off to Stephen now, who is a Curious Cardinals mentor. Stephen, where do you go to school? What do you major in? How long have you been part of Curious Cardinals, and what do you mentor in?
Hey guys, thanks for the introduction. I'm Steven. I go to Brown University, currently a senior. I study neuroscience and computer science, and I've been mentoring here at Curious Cardinals for just over a year now, which is exciting. So that's super awesome. But I mentor in a variety of things like computer science, chemistry, physics, but also other things like I have a student who is really into mock trial. He does that in school as like one of his extracurriculars. I did mock trial in 4 years of high school, so that was like great for me to kind of recover that and do that with him. And then like to Audrey's point about like changing and pivoting and moving from something to a passion project, for example, like he's getting really interested in like local government and actually like a project about revamping school lunches, which I thought was super interesting. And we had this like very passionate discussion about like American food culture and school lunches. So that's like a new development that's been really amazing. But it's just like been a really great experience for me. I joined initially just to give back. I felt like, I had a lot of positive role models in my life who guided me and gave me a academic blueprint that was conducive to success. And so I just wanted to provide that for other students and other people that I could kind of feel like were in similar positions to me. And then I've just like really enjoyed being with Curious Cardinals, getting to know Audrey and the team. And then also, I mean, I got put on by my friend, my roommate actually, but it's just been a really good experience because like all of the different types of connection. I currently have like 5 mentees. I've had as many as 6, and I think I've in like my whole 1 year, I've like probably talked to like 8, and it's been really cool to see like everybody and their different backgrounds and how they're different and the different subjects they want to learn and their different tendencies and trying to bridge all those gaps. That's been super, super amazing. And then I just wanted to just plug the CC team while I was here and saying that they're very supportive, the most responsive set of people that I've ever met, to be honest, and very passionate. So it's been an amazing experience. And yeah, I'm really happy to be here.
Awesome, thank you. I just wrote, we didn't ask you to say that, but thank you. That means a lot to hear.
Of course.
And just briefly before I pass it off to our final 2 Curious Cardinals parents here today, We started in the pandemic about 5 years ago. We just feel like we're getting started, but we've been lucky to work with lots of families around the globe. And how does it actually work to get started with Curious Cardinals? So students and mentors meet weekly. We have a platform that makes it super easy. You get onto the session, it happens on Zoom. After sessions, you get lesson notes summarizing what they learned today, how did it go, areas for growth, what you're doing next time, how parents can help. And then on a quarterly basis, we share progress reports, which gives a more comprehensive review of what we've done this past quarter. That's meant to be like the best report card you've ever gotten. We use technology to help here. AI uses our transcripts to generate a summary from a quarter of sessions, and then mentors spend their time actually individualizing it and viewing it with the authenticity and heart and soul that they observe and is representative of the relationship they have. But what's amazing about that is we think about the attention to detail and the things that we're picking up on and the trends and changes over time using this tool to amplify our user experience. And then finally, on that quarterly basis, you set new goals. So we are all about SMART goals. So you're goal oriented and you're making progress. And then lastly, how it works to sign up is you have a consultation call with our team. Sanket here, the lovely guy who's maybe on the upper right corner of your screen, you'd have a call with him. Speak to us. We want to hear who your child is, what they're like, what are their interests, their personality. We ask a lot of questions. You might not know what you want to start with. That's okay. Based on what your goals are for your student, we'll help tell you what the best way to start. We come back to you with a student profile and a mentor recommendation. You create an account, and if all looks good, you are off to the races. Curious Cardinals is a subscription model. You pay on a monthly basis, and you have weekly sessions. And that's it. I'm now going to pass it off to Cassie and then Sayeh to talk about their experience as parents with Curious Cardinals, and then we'd love to open it up to questions anyone has.
Well, thank you, Audrey, for having me. I love highlighting people that are doing great things, especially for our youth. And you guys have certainly created an atmosphere that really helps kids connect to things that they believe in or what they want to see themselves doing. And I think that's really critical. So I met Audrey through one of my dear friends here in Los Angeles who had started working with them. And at the beginning, I remember thinking, this is an incredible concept, but I didn't know really how it would work into my kids. They kind of hadn't figured that out yet. But as my daughter, who is now a junior, really started to come to terms with what she is personally passionate about, which is nutrition and kind of the aspects of how that works into maximizing your sports performance, we were able to partner, and Brooke has created an incredible platform with Claire, her Stanford Curious Cardinals mentor. And what I love is not only has Brooke been able to forecast and see what is out there in the world of nutrition and what could be. She's, kind of playing in the world of possibility right now, which I love. She sees Claire, somebody that is very put together, very relatable, also doing that. And so she's actually been able to broaden her perspective of where she kind of wants to take this. She has, a platform that she's educating people with, but she is also now expanding that with an additional mentor that she starts with actually next week, and they're going to start doing research and really, and they're going to determine. I mean, it's not up to me. They'll determine what direction they want to take that, whether it be the impact you want, that they can have, that nutrition can have on underserved populations. It may be Brooke is very interested in how women's health and hormones play into health. So I'm super excited to see that come to fruition. And lastly, my son is in 8th grade, and I hadn't planned on really kind of having him come along until I was like, oh, we'll get him into high school and kind of figure out what this path starts to look like. But he is going to have ACL surgery on Monday. And I'm like, okay, I do not need this kid spending any more time with his legs held up on screens. And so we have just done a match for him. St. Keith has been great with that. And my son has an interest in architecture, so he thinks right now. So we're going to let him kind of develop what that's going to look like for him and just get excited about what the world of possibility is. I'm a big believer that you kind of discover what you want to do by actively being a participant in figuring that out. And I think that you guys really help kids do that very well. So I can't say enough great things. You guys are very communicative, so the parents actually feel very much a part of the process. I'm always informed on what Brooke is working on. So thank you for your approach and the mentorship. I think lets kids start to think and dream bigger. So that's awesome.
Thank you for that. So appreciated and so excited your son is starting. Sorry he's injured, but we're grateful the silver lining can be we can enter his life a little earlier. Thank you for that. Sayeh, I'll hand it off to you and then we'll open it up to Q&A.
Thanks, Audrey. Hi, everyone. My name is Sayeh. I live in the Seattle area. I have a 17-year-old. Her name is Sophie. She is a senior right now, and she's been part of the Curious Cardinal since last year. I have to give a little bit of background about Sophie. I feel like my experience when I'm hearing all the moms with, how they experience with Curious Cardinal, that they've done such great projects. With Sophie was just survival, basically. It was not a matter of doing fun projects or finding new things or new initiatives. It was all about like getting her back to baseline. She really, really suffered through the pandemic. She does have ADHD, but the whole pandemic really, really, I think, ruined her ability to study. When everything went online, she was not able to really follow because, following online was not her forte. She would be easily distracted. She would not be part of she would be lost. And at some point, she basically gave up. And came Curious Cardinal. And I think I wish that I knew about this program a little bit earlier. I think her life would have been much easier. But we learned about it when she was towards the end of 11th grade. And she was really behind in math. And the reason that I said, okay, let's do Curious Cardinal, it was to get her very customized one-on-one for math. And prior to that, I should say that, we got her tutoring that was in person. And, she would come out and said, there were older people with very old way of tutoring. And she would come and she was like, I'm not understanding. They're basically telling me things and not listening to what I need. And she started giving up and not showing up to the tutoring. And I was very apprehensive, to be honest, in the beginning, because Curious Cardinal is online and she was through pandemic, she didn't do very well in line. And I had to sort of beg her to say, can you please just try this? We try it. If you don't want it, we won't do it. And I had to really navigate very, very carefully with her because she's also was very strong-willed and she didn't want to be put in a situation that, she would be frustrated. And to my complete surprise, the first session she had with the mentor, and I also thought that we need to go through multiple mentor to have a good match. But to my surprise, her first mentor, Vanessa, she hit it off. And Vanessa was so good with her, so flexible, so patient, that she actually started having, first of all, she gained a relationship with her. And I think that really, really helped her connecting and then wanting to learn. And then what started with math, she actually passed math. She, where she was really behind, she really caught up. So that was the first thing. And then after that, she just became her mentor, her coach, her everything for going through the college process and application, which, me and with her dad, we would be there, her dad went to college here, I went to college here, we've done all the SAT and all that, and we thought that we could help her. But, having Vanessa and having her recent sort of experience going through the college process was something that none of us could provide. And even though she has ADHD and all that, the way she organized her to make sure that she hits all the deadline, it was fantastic. And I can't tell you how the flexibility that this mentor showed to her. I can't like, I can't even begin to say, because I know my own daughter, and I know that last minute she would like forget and she would be late and all that. But the way that she managed her and the way that she kept her engaged, I think she just needs to get a Nobel Prize for that. And then the other thing that I think all the other moms also hit is that I had every visibility to what was discussed, because I would get notes and I would know exactly how the conversation they had, the progress they had. I felt that every other tutor that I would get for her, I would not know. I would know that they met, they were done, I would pay, and we would move on. But that, that level of visibility, that, where they're making progress, and I actually started getting really excited to read the notes, because it would give me this angle of Sophie that I would not see, and she would not really share about, like, how smart she is. And the way Vanessa would actually write about her and who she is and her progress was just, it was like, oh my God, I want to hear this. I want to read all this. So, that's been our experience. I'm super happy. As I said, I have a 11-year-old who, definitely at this point, I think, she's finishing up 5th grade, but knowing now the program is something that I want to get her involved, starting 6th grade, and getting her already plugged into this and be part of the program. So that's my story.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. We're also happy. I wish I could give all of you a hug, like clap for your kids. This is the best thing ever for us to hear. Thank you all for taking the time and for sharing. We would love to open it up, this intimate group we have, to any questions anyone has.
I have a question.
Please.
And maybe Cassie, maybe you can help with this one, because I'm trying to figure out, I've got a 13-year-old boy, a 14-year-old boy, so 7th and 8th grade, and then a 17-year-old girl, so junior. I'm trying, as you're telling me about Brooke and what she's doing, I'm like, I'm just thinking about, we've got a soccer player who's playing on an academy level. You've got SAT hell, right? And SAT prep, the prep that goes into it is intense. And then you've got volunteering that they're doing, and like college application. Like, how do you, obviously you're picking something that they're interested in, so hopefully it doesn't feel like it's not fun, but how do you have time to, especially like Cassie, just the age that she's at, like how is Brooke having time to do these things?
I think the beauty has been that honestly, it is something that she enjoys. I mean, so many of the other activities, the tutors and the SAT prep and all that, it's kind of a have to do, is kind of the perspective she has. And there is like there's like a sweet spot that they really know how to find and match people well. Brooke loves Claire. And she looks forward to it. And I think because it is kind of a creative outlet for Brooke, like Brooke's been able to create this platform online. It's not a must do, it's like a get to do. And so I think the fact that she's been able to really connect with something that is fun for her and creative, and it doesn't feel like work to her. So I think that's been the beauty of it. I mean, it depends in what capacity, you want to use them. But for us, we kind of looked at it as a passion project. Like, how do we get Brooke kind of more excited about, what her future career could look like? And this has really opened up that space for her. Yeah, all of it is about timing, of course. But the beauty is, even with Blake, because now he has to start PT, and we're like, oh my gosh, he's gonna be in school, and then he's gonna be in PT for an hour and a half every day. I'm like, we can't do this until late at night, and they're great. I mean, they have mentors all over. And so they'll work with you too. And there's times that I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a horrible week for Brooke. We can't do it. And there's flexibility. So,
And is it the same mentor for like however many years you're doing this with the same project or no?
we've had the same one. And it'll be interesting to see now we're bringing in another one that's really going to be very research focused. We wanted to give Brooke kind of a different angle about what nutrition could look like for her as a career, and kind of separate herself out from the pack too. So I don't know if we'll continue. For a period of time, we'll definitely be continuing on with Claire, maybe indefinitely. But Brooke's been able to really create what she wants now on that platform, so she can probably just do some of that on her own. But yeah, we've had the same mentor the whole time, and they give you a 2-week trial period too. So I know that hasn't been discussed, but they give you a 2-week trial to say, okay, how's your kid kind of meshing? Is this the right personality? And then I know friends that have also been like, well, they didn't really know what their kid wanted to pursue. I mean, the reality is Blake thinks he's kind of interested in architecture right now. That could totally change. So it might be that we do this for, 2 months, and he's like, we're like, okay, let's look into music, or let's look into, something totally different. They can take kids that I know they've had kids that are really interested in sports, and they get into programming that's looking at how do you do statistics, as it relates to sports. I mean, they have a way, I think, because they're younger and they can relate more than we can to our kids. They do have a really good way of matching, but also there is flexibility within the program, which I appreciated. Should somebody need that.
And I'll say we are like the last people who want to be making your kids overscheduled kids who are doing everything and doing nothing at all. That's very much what we are not about. We say we are experts of the activity sheet, part of the college process where you list all the things you spend your time on outside of your transcript and your scores. There's 10 things on your activity sheet. Really only the top 2 to 4 matter. And maybe it's your main sport, your academy soccer, your volunteering, and then maybe it's your Curious Cardinals passion project. But if you're already doing debate and mock trial and magazine, you're doing too many things, and we do not want to be part of these kids being spread too thin and doing nothing of substance at all. We're about doing real things, doing things of substance, going deep, and the intentionality behind it all. And if you're like, they have enough with extracurriculars, or this might not be a fit here, I would really think, what is a goal you have? Maybe it's they spend way too much time on their phones and are very bad with time management. So they could benefit from an academic mentor to help with executive function. They do all around homework help, study skills, but your kid says, I don't have time. And you're like, you're a 13-year-old, relax. Why do you not have time for anything? Maybe we should work on executive function skills so you learn how to manage your time better, because you should have time. Then you can have a mentor, and it's still a cool college kid. Maybe you want to choose a college athlete who can be a positive role model, who can help open the world to their future, but is helping more with a pain point you have. So I would really think, like, what is a goal for your kids? What is something they're working through? And we like to say we're the spinach in their milkshakes, teaching them the fundamentals without them even realizing it. I don't know, Lori or Stephen, or if you've had anything you'd add on that question.
I think it's very clever. Like, I think focus is very important, like for all of us, and having somebody who can help with executive functioning, I think is half the battle, because, if my kids were always did academy soccer. So that I get for sure. And I mean, that's a discipline in itself, right? Because you have to be very, selective with what you do, and you have to be very efficient with your time. And, they come home exhausted. And at the same time, like, that can be a grind, and that can be a burnout. So having a bit of diversity, and like somebody who's inspirational and somebody who can help them think past that, I think was very useful. And it's not like a 10-hour thing a week, right? It could be 45 minutes, just something to start a cadence of a conversation. I think that has a long-term impact.
Any other questions? And Valana, if you have other questions, ask away. Don't be shy.
No, I just think it's amazing. I would have loved to have this when we were all growing up, you know? I
Us
remember sitting,
too.
yeah, I remember like my junior, senior year of college trying to figure out where you're going to apply, what you want to do. You have no idea what you want to do. If somebody, I kept asking my mom, like, can you help me figure this out? And she was like, take one of those tests that like shows your interests. And I don't know, you need somebody to help you a little bit, figure it out, you know? So it's great and just explore your interests. So this is fantastic. Thank you for putting this together.
The other thing I would say too is that it's very authentic to your child. You know, like there's so much about the narrative and the story, and I don't know, I'm Canadian, so the whole thing's kind of exhausting for me in a special way. And but I find them very authentic to my kid, like really seeing my kid for who they are, where they are, what stage they're at. And I think that's really helps with self-esteem with the kid. Like they don't have to be anything but who they are and where they're at. And I think it's very powerful for them, especially in, you know, some of these schools are quite pressure cooker environments. And I think that's very nice that they see your kids for the stage they're at.
Gigi, I see you went off mute.
Oh, yeah, I wanted to ask, you may have already covered this, but everything's virtual, right? Or sometimes if they happen to be in the same city, they meet up, or?
It's 99% all virtual, and that's how we make really great matches. That's how we have this platform. And as Sayeh said, the mentors are digitally native. We know how to make online learning work. And we are an in-person team in Curious Cardinals in this SF headquarters. We spend a lot of our time on Zoom. To thrive in society today, you need to learn how to build connections with people on Zoom. So we make it work, and we are firm believers that it's an important life skill as well. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. I am Ion, the husband. So, you know, you talked a lot about this executive function support. Is that a standardized thing you train your mentors to do, or do they all kind of make up their own program?
Great question. So we have our mentors. It's twofold. One is some mentors come in with their own expertise, and the other is we have an incredibly qualified team of educators who create resources, support, and tools in onboarding. So when you are a mentor, you have to clarify what you're an expert in. If you are an expert in executive functioning, maybe you've taught this with another organization, maybe you've built these skills yourself, you have to have some proof of prior experience and credibility in the space. Then on our 10-person team, Daniel went to Harvard Graduate School of Education and studied executive function as his research and worked at a tutoring organization in Korea for 10 years before joining our team. Ian went to Harvard Graduate School of Education and Stanford Graduate School of Education and is a former math teacher and joined our team. And we have Matt, who just joined, who is a former teacher at Brearley for 10 years and is now leading our mentors. We have adults who are very experienced, very qualified, certified educators. They train the mentors, they create our tools, they create our resources, they give the feedback. So it's a combination of seeing the expertise our mentors come in with, and then the adults on our team are the ones who are supporting them with the resources and expertise. Our mentors are experts at connecting, at motivating, at inspiring kids, and our team comes in to make sure they're practicing best teaching principles and doing things in the most research-backed, effective ways. Does that answer your question? Hopefully it.
I think it did.
Okay, great. Any other questions we can answer?
Yes, thanks. It was a little hard to unmute. It's great. Thanks.
Of course. Thanks for asking. Love bragging about how qualified our team is, because Alec and I weren't the qualified educators when we started this. Anything else we can answer? Even ask the parents anything. Stephen is a really talented mentor who hasn't been asked anything. Advice, you name it. You got lots of people on the Zoom with lots of Curious Cardinals things to share.
I'll just add, am I on? I don't know half time if I'm muted or not on these things, sorry.
Sure.
I'll add that I think if there's any parents that are on here that are so curious, you know, get on a call with Audrey or one of her team members. And I think what you'll find is they're incredibly engaging and very real, approachable. And then, you know, they start asking really good questions to kind of understand your kid a little bit more. And they've just always been really open. So I think that it's just a very open environment to, if you're leaving here today going, well, this sounds really amazing, but you know, I'm not really sure how this would fit in. Set up time with them, and they're incredibly, you know, generous with their time and information that they'll share.
Yeah, well, you know, just a little about our seventh grader. He came to me and he said, I want to do a NASA internship. And I'm like, how do you do that? Right. So first you have to be 16, right? So you got to wait at least 3 years. But you probably need a portfolio of some sort. So he's like, how can I build an engineering portfolio? And then this Curious Cardinals popped up on my Facebook page. So that's how we got into it.
Amazing. Stephen, do you want to speak briefly? You've done a lot of engineering building projects with students. What does that look like? How might you work with Gigi and Lon, 7th grader?
Yeah, well, I mean, first that's very that's awesome to have like a 13-year-old want to like do a NASA internship. I Yeah, I think like a lot of the gap for like students like in middle school and then like younger high school students is just like kind of figuring out like the roadmap. So like while I might not be like, you know, a NASA internship expert, I have like my own expertise or like my own experience like applying for things and like understanding like how to get from point A to point B. And like for my students that like have lofty goals or want to do these passing projects, like first like I think like we just want to do a big brainstorm session, right? Like, what do we want to get out of this? Like, you know, what is it about NASA that's really interesting to you? Why do you want to do this in the first place? What current things that you do that you want to expand on that might take you in that direction, right? And then after like me gaining insight into the student's perspective and their interests, I think like the thing that I can most uniquely help with is just helping them identify the things that exist out there that would be, you know, conducive to success from moving to point A to point B. So I think like obviously being a 13-year-old, you wouldn't really have experience like applying for things, putting together a portfolio and understanding what things you need to line up. And so that's where I would come in. I would provide that structure. And then, you know, we would just work together. We would talk about, all right, should we maybe start like thinking about this specific topic and like, I don't know, like if he was really into like building satellites or like something related to satellites, let's look at that, let's look at this, let's look at that. And then for me, it's just like creating actionable steps to get from point A to point B. I think that like the passion, like if it's there, it's just gonna, you know, automatically like move us forward. It's just for me to establish that scaffold that I think is like where I would come in and where I feel like I have come in.
Thanks so much. Yeah, and I should mention he's actually 12. I just keep thinking about the start of the next school year.
That's so funny.
Even better. We love a curious 12-year-old.
How do I? Oh, hey, can you hear me? Hi.
Yes,
Okay. So I have a question like with the passion projects. Do your mentors help them to like determine, hey, this would be a great place you could publish this, or this would be a good way to, you know, present this material or think about preparing it, or if there were local things like a research, you know, competition like that, you know, we knew about in the area, is that something that they would help them to be able to get to the stages that are needed?
Yes, great question. So it starts in the consultation call. So it's not, can they help? You ask for that help. On the consultation call, you say, we'd love to do research, but where do we publish the research? What are the opportunities? We want to do this competition. What are the options out there? And you let us know that on the consultation call, that that's one of your goals. Hey, I want someone who's not just going to help my child understand how to conduct research. I also want someone who's going to help them identify organizations or research opportunities to submit the work to. I want them to learn how to get it out in the world. You can let us know the scope of your goals and we can deliver accordingly. We give our mentors lots of resources on competitions and whatnot that's happening. I often include opportunities like that in my newsletter and on our Curious Cardinals social media. Definitely follow Curious Cardinals. We post about competitions and whatnot all the time, but yes, you let us know up front and we'll make sure that we can support with that. And we have lots of examples of students where that's such a great starting point. A lot of students this fall submitted their work to the Scholastic Art and Writing competition. And for that to be their first win under their belt, now they're going after even more ambitious goals. The fact that Carson, who didn't consider herself a humanities writer, wrote an op-ed on how on maternal workplace opportunities in Norway and Sweden versus the US, and submitted it as a 9th grader and won a silver key. Now Carson feels like the queen of the world. She's like, why not set even more ambitious goals that I'm going to do next with my mentor? So we think that competitions, research opportunities, these places where you can submit and get external validation and credibility are amazing ways to start with a mentor and then building from there. Hopefully that answers your question, Nicole.
Yes, great. Thank you so much.
And that's something really important about the consult call. Be super honest with us and be very clear with what you want. If your kid really struggles with responding to text and is a horrible communicator, let us know. I'm going to need a mentor who's super persistent or knows to call me or text me if they're not replying, because my kid's a terrible replier. Great. That's a data point we love to know so we can make a match with someone who's super persistent and knows what a kid's like who's bad at text. Whatever, however specific it is, the more information we know on what you're looking for, who your child is, the better equipped we are to do what we do best.
Absolutely. If I could just jump in here, it's best to be incredibly honest with me during the consult call by explaining in detail, your students' interests, their superpowers, what exactly they would love to get from a Curious Cardinals mentorship. We all heard during this call how amazing Stephen is, but Stephen is just one out of the 700 plus mentors that we have in our database. And so I would be absolutely thrilled to match your student with the perfect mentor and help them reach their goals and create some pretty amazing standout achievements. And it all starts with one conversation, and it has that snowball effect. And that's the power of a Curious Cardinals mentorship. And we'd love to share it with your children.
Any other questions? We heard from Gigi, Lon, Valena, and Nicole. Kim or Christine, feel free to chime in with any questions too. We're yours. And if there are no questions, no worries at all. And Lori, Cassie, and Sayeh, thank you so much. I never know what a parent is going to say. I just know you're a great Curious Cardinals parent, and these hearing what you have to say, it really makes our day. It's why we do what we do, and it's so meaningful to hear. And it means so much to us that you care about Curious Cardinals enough to take the time out of your day to come speak and share with your friends. So thank you. We're so grateful. And Stephen, thank you for being the best mentor. We're so grateful. Lots of gratitude. And thank you everyone who's new and took the time out of your evening to come learn. You can stay on, ask any questions, type any questions. We won't leave. And hopefully we'll get to connect with you soon. But thank you everyone. We are really grateful. And
Thank you. Bye everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
thank you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
So nice meeting you all.
Stephen, thank you so much.
Hi.
Of course.
Go
Of
for it.
course.
Hello?
Hi, it's Christine. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to say thank you. I don't have any questions. I signed my daughter up last week, so we've already been matched with a mentor. Very excited. She's at Yale, or she graduated from Yale last year, and is pre-med, but also loves musical theater, and she's a performer, which my daughter is. So,
Oh, amazing. I thought you were talking about your daughter, and I was like, so she's a mentor?
no,
Great.
no.
Sounds like a great mentor
That's
match. That's awesome.
exactly, yeah. So somebody who can kind of help her get more confidence in math and science, but who also loves to perform. So,
And Christine, where'd you hear about us from? Where are you based?
I'm based in Los Angeles, and you popped up on, I think, Instagram. I think some people here locally had signed up their children or their students, kids,
Amazing.
and so it just kind of appeared a few times. And
Was this helpful combined with the consultation call you had?
yes, because for my consultation call, I had a lot of questions which I got answered, and I shared a lot about my daughter, and then this just kind of gave me like a better overview of the program and how it's worked for specific people. So that's, just to hear the mentor and the other parents was useful. So
Amazing. Oh, I hear your daughter Lucy's working with Samantha Poley. Samantha
yes,
Poley's amazing. She went to she actually grew up in New York City, so we were the same year, and she went to a school called Dalton. I went to Riverdale, and then she went to Yale. She's so smart and she's bubbly and fun. We have lots of mutual friends. So I haven't spoken to her since she's become a mentor, but I know personally she's loved by all her friends and she's a brilliant individual. So your daughter's in great hands.
well, I love to hear that. Yeah, I mean, her bio was super impressive, and
And where does your daughter go to school in LA, Lucy?
she's at Buckley,
Okay, awesome.
and she's in 8th grade, and doesn't, didn't do this as a passion project, although, hopefully we get to that point. It's just I wanted her to have more confidence in the STEM subjects, and then also realize you can have you could be a musical theater person and still want to be a doctor, or, I
Stephen
feel like,
is a pre-med computer science major.
yeah, so multiple life paths, and so hopefully this will morph into more of a passion project type thing, but she just hasn't figured out, apart from the theater, what those other passions are yet. So
Well, now you know the team. Be vocal, be honest with feedback. Don't be shy with requests. We're your partners in making this work. And 8th grade's a great time to start. So excited Lucy's going to begin. And Sammy Poley's an amazing human, so she's in great hands.
wonderful. So thank you all for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye. And Kim and Gigi and Lon, if you have any other final questions, we're all still here.
Well, so we could talk about Jack's brother.
Yeah.
Because he is a 9th grader. I'm going to pick him up now. Is why I'm driving. He's he's at an Explorer post doing EMT work because he wants to be a doctor. So he's very ambitious. He wants to go to Duke or to Georgia Tech.
Aaron went to Duke. He's very excited. Steven's pre-med. You've got the right people on the call. I'll shut
But
up.
I know that to get into those, Gigi and I both went to pretty elite schools, and it's tougher now, right? So you have to have kind of a portfolio of work in a way that a NASA internship might not actually require, right? These schools kind of like to see a big body of work, right? So I think the program might be good for him. He's already quite taxed time-wise, though, because he is a student athlete and, a EMT and all these wonderful things.
Steven's pre-med at Brown and is a computer science major. Aaron went to Duke. Steven and Aaron want to share your Duke and pre-med wisdom. What would you say?
Yeah,
for
he's
Lon's
interested
son?
specifically in becoming an anesthesiologist.
I mean, well, I think it's amazing that he has such clarity. I mean, I hope he could give some to me. I think I'm 8 years older than him. I have no idea exactly what I'd want to do. But, to your point, I mean, he wants to be pre-med, and to your point about like college admissions and the portfolio, I think like I think a university is not necessarily or is not expecting that, a student has like, a student that wants to be pre-med is going to have all of this experience because A, they know that they're only 14 to 18. And B, it's just like not necessarily like expected of them just to have such clarity at that age because who would, right? So I think like what would make sense for someone like him is like to if he knows really well that he wants to do anesthesiology, like shadow an anesthesiologist, maybe if he wants to get more in line with like the research side, he could like look in I don't know where you're based, but like surrounding institutions and see if that is something that would pique his interest. But you know, I think college applications from my perspective, and my experience was more about like utilizing the resources that I had, you know, surrounding me and like contextualizing that within my own school district. So like, and I know that your other son has like the NASA internship idea, but like he doesn't have to save the world, you know? I think like he can, there's probably plenty of opportunities around him that he can utilize. And obviously we don't want to over budget him. But I mean, overall, I think it's amazing that he has such clarity. Again, that's super amazing.
And and then Aaron too, and why a Curious Cardinals mentor could be helpful or not, if you've thoughts, Aaron, on Duke.
I'm going to talk through Sanket's microphone here. I'm struggling a little bit with the Wi-Fi today. But in terms of like my reflections on Duke as well as Curious Cardinals is I really think the reason that I got into Duke was around following my passions. And I was a kid who loved electrical engineering and a kid who loved the climate. And I really just pursued those two things really aggressively and really at the intersection of the two. So I followed my passions and I had this really unique portfolio as I was applying to colleges. I had built these different data loggers and devices and published them to the world. And so thinking about that, like how I see Curious Cardinals fitting in, and I joined the Curious Cardinals team because it is something I so would have benefited from as a kid. I was a middle schooler and high schooler who was just like your kids, highly ambitious, highly excited, really curious. And I was also in a position where I didn't know many other kids who were like that. And so had I had a mentor who was like Steven, who is this amazing, amazing student, an older mentor, and I was able to learn from them and be inspired by them and guided through that process, it would have been profound for me. And that's why I'm so passionate about the mission. Also, Duke is awesome. They should definitely go to Duke.
And so, yeah, I mean, it's whether it's something to help him with what he's already doing, to explore new, to get guidance on anything. It's the best people, whether you're CEO of a massive company or an Olympian, have coaches. And so Curious Cardinals is really extraordinary for that super ambitious kid, because at every stage of life, the best people seek out mentorship and coaching and, as you know, resources to continue being their best self. So this can hopefully be a catalyst for your ambitious sons to keep propelling forward and have really motivated, accomplished, near peer role models that they can look up to and build a personal relationship with.